Thanks, Coach. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll get started with Gary Smits.
Okay.
Hey, Gary.
Wait, Coach, you mean there's no Santa Claus?
Hey, hey, I'm hoping for one.
Man, I didn't.
What the hell are you guys doing? Let me turn the speakers down, okay? Can we have a spoiler alert or
You got
something?
a lot of volume today. I like it. It's kind of jacked up. We
Hey.
must be in stereo.
Doug, have you ever tried to put something together from IKEA?
Yeah, I think I have.
They're the worst.
Let me tell you something. I enjoy that stuff, but I don't like when you haven't slept all night and you're waking up the next, when you're running against the clock. That's the tough part about it.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Doug, when you got an opponent coming up in the next game and they've got a Sunday night or a Monday night game, I know you get all the tape you need on that team, but do you ever watch those games as a fan? And do you pick up anything on a TV broadcast that maybe doesn't come through on tape?
Well, I think around the league, Gary, a lot of times now there's a lot of microphones being pointed at the field, and so I think most teams, and it's not a big secret, I think most teams always go through the game copies to get cadence, to get alerts and calls, and and just match everything up, and that's where I think you kind of keep a book on each coordinator at each team. So this way, as the years go through, as you go by, because coordinators, they may change jobs and everything, but you're just looking at that lingo, and if you can catch something, whether it be hand signals or anything like that, I think people are always looking at that. I don't think that's a big secret in this league. So I guess to answer your question, yeah, everybody does that. Now, do I do that? No, we have people that go through all the games like that.
Okay, but what did you think of the finish the other night?
I wound up being able to watch some of that game. You know what I'm saying, live, and I would have to say for a few times, where I look at the games obviously differently. You know what I'm saying? It's I really felt like on the edge of my seat, and it had a lot of it was exciting. I mean, it was drama. Lamar goes out and they show him going to the locker room, and then he comes back. It was almost like a perfect script to an unbelievable game, and I just took a step back, in that moment, and just really appreciated it like a fan and really enjoyed the game, honestly.
And one last thing, with most of the games being played with very few fans or no fans, and the on-field mics can pick up more chatter. Has that helped in any way to, as you say, get a pattern to the cadence and the calls and the things like that?
Yeah, I mean, but a lot of times internally, your people are putting mics on players. You know what I'm saying? So you're always getting internal stuff. Whether it be the center, or whether it be a guard, or whether it be a nose guard or a 3 technique. I mean, most teams, according to their website and things like that, they put that stuff on players. You guys probably have seen like some of that, on receivers or whoever it might be. But you always there's a lot of things that are going on communication wise that I think you can pick up. That's why you're constantly trying to change those things. So no one's getting a beat. Because all you got to do is just break that once, and you got to be careful as a coach, because you go in there and you say, hey, 100% of the time when they make this signal, this is what they're doing, and you tell the players that, and all of a sudden they don't do it. Well, now you've lost, you lost trust, and now they're not sure about the game plan. Now they're not sure what's right or what's wrong. So you got to, I've always just tried to maintain a balance with all of that.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Sure.
Thanks, Gary. We'll go to Mia O'Brien.
Howdy, Doug. Live
Hey.
from my parents' house in New Jersey. So if the internet skids out, we're blaming them.
How about the weather? You getting that big snowstorm coming up there?
So my dad is optimistic, since we're closer to the shore, that we might get more rain. That's what we're fingers crossed for. But
Usually,
I don't know. I kind of would like to see snow. I mean, I flew all the way up here, like it would be nice. But I
I
digress.
always say, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, and you lived here long enough, so it's in that
Well,
it's in the danger zone. We don't know which we're gonna get. So
Do you shovel?
kind
Are you going to shovel since you're at home for your parents?
yeah, I will.
Are you a shoveler? Like, do you shovel like? This is the one thing. My dad passed this year, but this is the one thing. My dad every like if you were gonna get like let's say 9 inches of snow, the first 3 inches he'd make us go out there and shovel, and then another 3 inches we shovel, then another 3 inches and shovel, and I would be like, Dad, why can't we just wait till it stops? And he's like, nah, snow, it's gonna be heavy, it's gonna be wet snow, you can't, you know what I'm saying? So I one time in Buffalo, I gave a couple of the coaches a snowblower for a gift. I thought that was the best gift to give the coaches. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. I like the snowblower. My parents' driveway, because since technically we don't have a garage, my mom's dentist office is there. So she doesn't want to look like a commercial lot. So we have stones in the driveway. So yeah, shoveling. Yeah, exactly. So we never had a snowblower, and shoveling as a kid was, yeah. So yeah, good times. All right. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit Ravens. I mean, obviously, you feel like you're going up against people every single week in this league. But going up against Calais and Jan, what do you think that's going to mean, especially to your younger guys?
Well, there's so many guys on this team that half this team I don't even think was here. You know what I'm saying? When they weren't there. And I think in this league, I think what you said before, I think there's so much transition, coaches, players, moving around that, these things happen. Everyone knows what I've said in the past about those two players. I've got a ton of respect for them. I really do. And, I hope, that they're doing well. I mean, personally and everything. And I hope they're happy. I think anyone that coaches their players, whether they stay, whether they leave, whatever goes on, at the end of the day, you just hope, hey, listen, they're happy, There's always the competitiveness, what I'm saying, where you do always want to play well, what I'm saying, against your team, or your team wants to play well against you. But I got a ton of respect for those guys. You can't get, two better guys in a building than those two.
As far as the quarterback position for you guys goes, I know you haven't really hit the field yet this week, but full confidence, Gardner going in this week?
Yeah, I think when you're a coach and you name someone that's going to play and go in there and you put whoever on the field, I think you're always going to have full confidence. I don't think you're ever going to get someone that's going to say, well, we'll put him out there and I got my fingers crossed, or, oh, gosh, I hope he doesn't. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, anyone that you're putting out there to do a certain assignment, whatever it may be, special teams, defense, offense, you have to have that type of confidence in them.
Last question from me, since we won't talk to you tomorrow. How are we feeling about Bowles' chances in the state 4A championship tomorrow?
Listen, I'm focused on this one. I just told my son all the pressure's on you for this Christmas holiday and family holiday. I said, I can't, I'm not pulling it home this year. So it's all on you, whether we're going to be a happy family or a miserable family.
Thanks, Doug.
Yep. That's exactly what I told him, too, last night.
Thanks, Mia. We'll go to Hayes and then John Shipley.
Hey, Doug, what do you like out of Costin? What are you seeing out of him as a young player making strides?
Yeah, I think that, there's production in that position. I think that the experience that he's getting, Hayes, is going to be out, really valuable for him as far as the future and how he keeps working. I think that, he's done well against the run, and he's had some bad. Everyone, if you've played, I always say this, if you ever played, you're going to get beat, but he's been very consistent in the way he works at it. So, his snaps obviously have gone up. And that's another thing that you're looking at, to see where that production level is in it. But, Doug is a little bit like James, as far as when he came in here with not a lot of opportunity to continue to work and I've always said this, to a point where we're sitting there saying, hey, listen, do we put him on the practice squad thinking that no one's going to see him because we haven't played any preseason games? And, we made a decision that, hey, listen, let's not even take our chances. Let's put him on there. So, we saw something that we liked, obviously, in that period of time we're in training camp. And then, then just waiting for the opportunity, to put him out there. And I think that, he's performed at a good level, a level that is doing well. And I think that, if we can get a little bit more of the pass rush, and develop that. But please don't write that, because when you say that about a player, then all of a sudden they just start thinking, they're going to start rushing the passer every time. You know what I mean? So, but I'm happy with the progress. I mean, when you get anyone that's a free agent, you know what I'm saying, he comes in and he starts playing better than some of the other players you have. That's a big plus or minus, depending on how you look at it.
Right. Awesome. Thank you, Doug.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hayes. We'll go to John Shipley.
Hey, Coach. I know you guys haven't had to do it in practice yet this week, but just how hard do you expect it to be able to simulate kind of Lamar Jackson and what he brings to the Ravens game?
I think you know what, John. This is how I look at it. I think it's not difficult to simulate the actions, meaning the schemes, the schematics of it. What is difficult is the speed of it, and I think that's the one thing that you see with Lamar. I mean, he's got a good arm and he could throw, but the speed of him on the field, I mean, he's just, he always looks like the fastest guy on the field, and that's a credit to him. And a 3 or 4 yard gain turns into a 16-yard gain, the other day, you're just like, hey, they have a good angle on him. So I think what's hard to simulate is those angles and the way you got to come to kind of corral him or try to keep him in a web, what I'm saying, that you can get him down. And then, because I think at this stage of the year, the physicality, what I'm saying, of knowing that and watching that, you can see that on film. You're not going to be able to produce that during the week because, you're trying to get your players to be, healthy for the game. So I think that's the main thing that's tough. And, because you don't practice, and this was always difficult. Give an example. So when I was an O-line coach, later in the year, we said, my tackles would have to go against some speed rushers. So what I would do is after practice, I'd line up some of our scout team wide receivers out there just to feel the speed, what I'm saying, coming at you. And I think that's the one thing that happens, during the course of the year, is that you start losing that speed in your practice because your team's, kind of, you're going through the season, you got bumps and bruises. So I think that's what's tough to simulate because, if you take the wrong angle, I mean, he might, him or Dobbins or, they've got some speed. You take the wrong angle and you don't go the right track. I mean, they can take it to the house at any time.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Thanks, John. We'll go to D-Rock and then Mark Long.
Hey, Doug, who do you have simulating Lamar in practice?
Well, we'll have a couple of guys back there, I would think. I think, I don't think, Jake's been working on his 40 time, so, he's increased it a little bit. I think in order, I think, to simulate him, I mean, you'd have to go out there and get a truly an Olympic sprinter. If you were in a college program, you might go and ask someone on your, team to go ahead and simulate that and run around. I remember in college when we played Boston College and they had Doug Flutie, we would just, run them around and have the defense run and chase them, all over the place. But I think it's hard. I think everyone has a difficult time doing that. So, we'll take a good look at that and get somebody back there with a little bit more speed, at times when we need to do that.
So what is it that you say to the guys when they come to the sideline when you've got the perfect defense called, everybody's in place, you think you've got it all bottled up, and then he does what he does and, he has a huge gain? Like, what do you say to those guys when they think they've done everything right and it just doesn't work?
Yeah, I mean, you got to respect it, but you got to come back and figure it out. You got to be able to say, sometimes someone's, I always tell the players when I was a position coach, hey, once in a while, you just got to tip your hat and say, hey, that's a hell of a play, and I think that, the first thing you do is evaluate what could I have done better to stop that play. Hey, this guy made a great play. How many great plays can they make in a game? And then try to limit those plays. So, because if you ever feel like you're going out there and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can't do this, can't do that, it's going to be a bad day, not a long day, a bad day, to do that. So, what's interesting, schematically, they do a very good job of, they got a lot of things going on. He's not, he's a big weapon, but they have other weapons. And, They got linemen pulling one way, running the opposite way, or him holding the football. So they put a lot on you as far as making sure that your eyes are right and your responsibilities right. And I think that's one of the things. It's almost like if you're playing a wing tee or a triple option team, what you're seeing that it's the first thing you have to make sure you're right on is your assignment, and then obviously the execution and be able to make the play.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, D-Rock. We'll wrap up with Mark Long.
2 words for you. Denard Robinson. He's got to be faster than Luton, even at 40 years old.
That's a good thought. Maybe we'll look into that. We'll give you the credit for it. Yeah.
All right. I like it. Is any chance Andrew Norwell, or good chance Andrew Norwell comes back? Obviously, losing Ben Barch there, you could use him this week.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance, Mark. There really is. I think he's worked really hard. His mindset right now is he's playing. You know what I'm saying? So something probably would have to happen to him. You know what I'm saying, during practice or during the week for him to not. But right now, that's what the plan is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Thank you, Coach. We'll see everyone back here at 12:15 for Coach Gruden, and then Gardner at 2:15.